Frozen assets, or the horror behind the mayonnaise. Chapter 4. Battle of the Crystal Larder. The door shuddered again, its wooden frame bending as something thick and gelatinous pressed against it from the other side. Yulie clutched her rolling pin like a lifeline. Madam Celeste Bustier stood tall, her robes billowing like a battle standard, her silver ladle gleaming in the candlelight. Outside, the fridge horror gurgled, its voice an unholy mix of spoiled broth, expired spices, and the ancient despair of forgotten leftovers. A cold dread settled over Yulia's spine. Madam, are we really about to fight a sentient refrigerator demon? Celeste adjusted her bodice, which, somehow, became even more structurally impressive. She lifted her ladle with the authority of a woman who had personally trained every chef in Bergspire and once slapped a duke for overcooking a roast. Yulie, there is only one way to deal with expired food. What's that? You serve it one last time. The door exploded open. The horror revealed. The thing was larger now, its body having absorbed even more forgotten meals. It slopped and pulsed with new horrors, shimmering jellied meats, half-melted noodles, an entire chicken carcass fused to its back like an unholy shell. Yulie gagged. Madam, I think it just ate an entire pot roast. Celeste didn't blink. Then it is now a pot roast with an expiration date. The thing lunged. Celeste moved first. Her ladle flashed, striking the creature with the force of a 5-star review.
Splat.
A chunk of gelatinous horror slopped off, flinging across the room and sticking to the ceiling. Yulie scrambled to dodge a flying meatball. We can't keep smacking it. It's just falling apart, and oh my gods, is that a whole turkey? The amalgamated monstrosity screeched, its jellied body twisting, forming a grotesque approximation of limbs. Celeste narrowed her eyes. We need to neutralize the preservatives. Stop it from regenerating. Yulia's brain worked overtime. What about the spice rack? Celeste grinned.
Oh, darling.
Now you're thinking like a chef. The assault on seasoning. Yulie rushed toward the spice shelves, dodging a rogue tentacle made of coagulated stew. The room rattled as the fridge horror lashed out, sending cooking pots flying. Yulie barely managed to duck behind a sack of enchanted bustwood flour, yanking open a cabinet filled with Berg's finest seasonings. She grabbed everything within reach. Madam.
Catch.
Celeste spun with grace unparalleled, snagging a jar of rock salt midair.
Ah.
A classic. She uncorked the bottle with her teeth and flung a handful at the monster. The horror shrieked, its body hissing and bubbling as the salt sapped its unnatural moisture. More, Yulie. Yulie grabbed the next bottle. Cumin? Throw it. She hurled the cumin, and to their absolute astonishment, the fridge horror convulsed violently. Celeste's eyes flashed. It reacts to spice. Oh, this just got fun. She twirled her ladle like a duelist preparing for a final strike. Pass me the paprika, the peppercorns, and good gods, Yulie, is that saffron's? Should I use it?
No.
That's expensive. Yulie swapped it for a container of crushed red pepper. Eat this, you festering soup stain. She flung the entire jar, and the fridge horror howled. Its body writhed, pieces falling apart like a badly stitched dress. It's breaking down. Yulie gasped. We need to finish it off. Celeste shouted. She pointed to the massive cauldron of boiling broth in the corner. Get it in there. The final boil. Yulie had no idea how to move 100-pound mass of cursed leftovers, but she had a rope, a rolling pin, and a growing level of desperation. She snatched a sack of enchanted yeast, tore it open, and flung the contents over the monster. The horror staggered. It started to rise. Then it froze, its body swelling and bubbling. Yulie grinned. Madam, the yeast is making it expand. Then we shall give it no room to rise. Celeste declared. With one powerful shove, she slammed the lid of a mixing vat against the creature's midsection. It burst like an overstuffed pastry, chunks of harmless, steaming leftovers raining down into the boiling cauldron. It's in. Celeste flipped the ladle dramatically, took a deep breath, and snapped her fingers. The kitchen torches flared. The cauldron roared to life, sending up a column of steam so powerful it fogged the windows. The last remaining tendril of the fridge horror quivered, then dissolved into the bubbling broth. A long silence. Then, Yulie collapsed onto a sack of flour, panting. Wholly laced corsets. Celeste adjusted her now slightly ruffled collar, giving the cauldron one last flick of her ladle. "And that," she said, "is how you deal with spoiled food." Chapter 5: The Aftermath and a Sudden Promotion. The kitchen was a wreck. There was food everywhere. Celeste's robes were singed, and Yulie was coated in at least 3 different sauces. But the fridge horror was gone. As Celeste surveyed the mess, she gave Yulie a thoughtful look. "Yulie,
Yeah?
you just prevented a culinary disaster." Yulie groaned. "Are you going to make me clean all this up?" "No." Celeste smiled. A rare, genuine smile. "You're being promoted?" Yulie blinked. "To what? Executive dishwasher?" Celeste placed a hand over her ample, corset-clad chest. "To Apprentice Preservationist." Yulie sat up so fast she almost fell over. "Wait, what?" Celeste simply nodded. "You saved the larder, you learned the power of spice, and—" she gestured vaguely at Yulie's sauce-covered apron. "You now look like every chef's first disaster. You have the makings of greatness." Yulie gawked. "You want me to study magical food preservation?" Celeste grinned. "I want you to make sure this never happens again." To be continued, next time. Yulie begins her training, which is mostly just avoiding more food-based horrors. Celeste gets a wardrobe upgrade, bustier than ever. The Crystal Larder holds deeper, colder secrets. Let me know if you want more. I'm having way too much fun with this.